This video sponsored by Skillshare. It's happening, and we all love Jon Watts now, so we can finally get excited. Marvel's first family is coming to the silver screen for a fourth time. 5 if you count the Roger Corman one that never actually made it to the silver screen, but I think was made to like keep the rights or something. I don't know. And listen, Iron Man, Captain America, those characters are iconic, but Reed Richards, Sue Storm, Johnny Storm, and Ben Grimm are the most iconic family in comics. So we aren't just casting one character and some supporting characters. These guys all need to work together as a team. None of them are more important than the other. Here's the usual makeup of the four. Reed is Mr. Fantastic. He's the leader of the team. He met Ben Grimm and Victor Von Doom in college. Then he started working on the project that would give everyone superpowers, and he met Sue Storm and her younger brother, Johnny Storm. So Reed, Ben, and Victor should all be around the same age. Sue could be a bit younger or older than Reed, but yeah, nothing crazy. And then Johnny needs to be considerably younger than all of them, somewhere between 5 and 10 years. This casting's gonna be so complicated. I mean, as far as race is concerned, I don't care. I'll mention which actors look more or like the comic characters, but honestly, I don't think any of the four are tied to any one ethnicity. Even Sue and Johnny could easily just be adopted, like in Fantastic Four. I don't care, as long as we get the best actors. I'm going to present my top 5 actors for each role, and then decide on the one that I believe would be the perfect casting. I'm also going to touch on Dr. Doom, and the villain who I think will probably show up in the first movie. And one more thing before we get to it, let's address the elephant in the room. I don't think John Krasinski should play Reed Richards. I don't feel as strongly about Emily Blunt as Sue Storm, but I'm not really leaning towards her either. I get why they seem to be the right pick. They are actually married. They both went out for Marvel roles in the past. John actually screen tested for Cap, and Emily Blunt famously passed on Black Widow. And the comic characters have kind of started to look like John Krasinski and Emily Blunt, more John Krasinski than Emily Blunt, but that's usually a sign of things to come, or at least some sort of general directive on the studio level. But I don't see Krasinski as Reed. I'll try to explain why as I get to the Reeds, but I don't think either Krasinski or Blunt are worth it. Oh, hey, editing Nando here. So finishing up the video, just doing a little last minute stuff, and then I realized I didn't actually record the why I don't really like John Krasinski for this role, or at least why I think we can do better. So I'm just gonna do that right now, because that is pretty important context, especially since there's always rumors, Reed Richards is always trending because of WandaVision, or you know, the fact that they are going to eventually make this movie, and everyone's like, oh, is it John Krasinski? Is it finally John Krasinski time? And out of all of the casting in the Marvel Cinematic, he's the one that I see the most, and it kind of confounds me. Like, his main trait is that he's nice, fine, inoffensive, right? He made that dumb Good News show and then sold it. Like, whatever happened to that? I don't know. Like, what does John Krasinski have in common with Reed Richards? He's tall, white, married. He doesn't seem particularly professorial or curious. He also doesn't have any bite. Like, nothing about John Krasinski feels like he could get in an ultimate nullifier standoff with Galactus for the fate of the planet. He's just, you know, he's fine. Like, honestly, if Krasinski didn't have the beard that comic Reed has, and there wasn't all that fan art floating around the internet, would you really think he's the guy? Like, really? Nothing I've seen him in has suggested that much range. Granted, I've not seen Jack Ryan, but I feel like he has 2 speeds, either Action Man or Jim, and neither of those are Reed. Honestly, Krasinski would work better as someone like, I don't know, the Two Gun Kid. I just don't see Krasinski as Reed. And that's the range thing. It's not to say that I don't think he is a good actor. It's just that I don't think he can play a lot of different roles that I haven't seen him play before. He's not one of those guys where I'm like, yeah, throw him in, he'll probably be good. He's not like a Daniel Day-Lewis or something like that. Now, Blunt, I think she could be a fine Sue Storm. Like, I think if it was just her, I'd be like, yeah, Emily Blunt, for sure. The problem now is I think it's all or nothing. I don't think we're getting one or the other. I feel like we're getting the pair. At this point, it does feel like it's going to have to be both. And I do not think Emily Blunt as Sue Storm is worth John Krasinski as Reed Richards. And if you really like John Krasinski, put it in the comments, tweet it to me. I am Nando View Movies on Twitter. I'm genuinely curious. I'm willing to be convinced. In fact, let's do that thing we did in the Keanu fan casting video where before you actually see my version of the cast, you put your 4 actors that you think would be the right ones, and then afterwards you see if I can convince you about any of my choices. And tweet to me who you think would be a good Fantastic Four. Put like maybe just the 4 images and maybe the names in case I don't recognize all the images in the tweet, and then the hashtag Fantastic Fancasting 4. Fancasting 4, like with a number 4. That's a pretty good hashtag. Anyway, back to the video. So, without further ado, let's go over to the casting zone. It's like the Oculus zone, but it's different. First up, Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic. This one's tricky. He's such a particular character, and Reed is at the center of every big Fantastic Four story as either the savior from or accidental cause of the big problem. Age-wise, I feel like 40 is perfect for Reed. Like I've said, age is very important because of how these characters all work together. If you work backwards, Johnny should definitely be like 25. And then Sue needs to be significantly older than Johnny, maybe 35, like 10 years older. And then we get a Reed in that age range, and that works great. Also, I'm doing drawings now. I like drawings, that'll be fun. This character needs to be fatherly, noble, and a leader. We need to like him. But also, Reed needs to be curious. Way too curious for his own good. That's one of his defining character flaws. He makes a machine. Everyone tells him not to turn it on, and then he hides the machine in a closet and turns it on anyway. I also want Reed to feel arrogant. That's not the right word. He doesn't feel like he's better than everyone else. He knows it. Reed is the smartest man in the universe, or at least he was in Marvel Comics. That changes all the time. He was the scientist supreme, I think. And he tries not to use that fact to make everyone around him feel small, but it does come out every so often and, causes problems. I used to love John Cho for this role, but honestly, at 50, he's a little older than I like. It is a shame because I really think he'd be perfect, but I just don't think it works. Especially since this movie won't come out for a couple of years, so he'd be in his mid-50s. I'm really committing to this 40 thing, which causes problems for what I consider my first real pick, Glenn Howerton, who is currently 45. I like him. I understand why the internet thinks he would be the perfect Reed. I think he's a little too tied up in It's Always Sunny in terms of we recognize him as Dennis Reynolds, not the actor Glenn Howerton. So I think it'd be hard for him to fully get to that role. Let's talk about another Always Sunny alumni, Jimmy Simpson. You may know him as one of the McPoyle brothers and the Westworld guy. He feels a bit warmer than Howerton. Now, he's also 46, but he doesn't quite look it to me. I think part of it has to do with his lack of public presence compared to Cho and Howerton. I can't explain it, but it's even though they're the same age, they've both been on the show since the beginning. It feels like since Dennis has been on Always Sunny more, and his age is more of a part of his character.
This is exactly what old people always do.
Old people?
Uh-huh.
I'm 26.
He has aged more than Jimmy. I don't know, it doesn't matter. But alright, we've got 3 others here. First, I absolutely love Legion's Dan Stevens. There's something about him that I cannot quite place. Maybe it has to do with the fact that he also plays a sort of torture genius on Legion. Not that that's exactly what Reed is, but he's got a lot of range. He's also not as big of a public presence as Howerton or Cho. I wouldn't say he's an unknown, but I think it is useful here to have a lead who is not already a megastar. Worked well with Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth when they were both coming up. They were solid B or C listers. He's also currently 39, so right in the sweet spot age-wise. And there's no way Legion is canon unless time travel nonsense, but whatever. Another actor I think should be in contention for Reed, who I am all in on, is Raul Coley. I'll be honest, I have not seen iZombie or the Mike Flanagan stuff, but he seems very excited for the role, looks the part, and a lot of people who know his body of work better than I do think he would be an excellent Reed. Also, he's British, and I don't see why Reed Richards could not be British. Same goes for Dan Stevens. Let's not do another Doctor Strange where we make a British actor do kind of a goofy New York American accent that is okay, but sometimes it comes through. I don't know. But honestly, the one who I think should get the role, William Jackson Harper. The Good Place is Chidi Adeganya. He is perfect. He's a nerd. He can be kind of a know-it-all. He's also ripped, so that saves Marvel some time. And Harper has a warmth that you want from a Reed. He feels like a person that can make a big mistake, but means well. I honestly think he's got to be in contention at least. And if I were Sarah Finn or Kevin Feige, he would be my Reed. Next, we've got Sue Storm, aka the Invisible Woman. Okay. Going from the difficult to cast to the difficult to pick. There are plenty of actors that can fill this role, and frankly, picking a favorite is tricky. So I have 7 or 8, I broke my rule, but if any of these gets cast, I'm good. If you don't know, Sue Storm has done it all. She's a scientist, an actress, an adventurer, a spy. She is the mother of the most powerful, or at least one of the most powerful characters in Marvel Comics, and she's married to one of the smartest men in the universe, but Reed often ignores Sue, so she's been pined after by Black Panther, Doctor Doom, and most notably, Namor the Submariner. Sue Storm wears a lot of hats. She's the glue holding the team together. Sue is diplomatic, protective, clever, brave, and friendly. Here are just a few actors who I believe could bring Sue Storm to life. First, Jodie Comer. She's on the younger side, but I could absolutely see Killing Eve and Free Guy's Jodie Comer as Sue. She's got the presence, great comedic timing, absolutely. This could work. Speaking of comedy, I've already brought up that I don't watch iZombie, but Rose McIver also seems to have what it takes, and she's just the right age. If you're looking for prestige actors who aren't scared of some comic booky nonsense, can I suggest Ruth Negga? She's got an Oscar nom for Loving, and Passing looks like it might get her another. You probably know her from either Preacher or, more likely, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where she played Raina. I have nothing but doubt that that will ever come up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so I think she's free. Ruth is talented, has just the right quiet presence to stand out in this crazy family. I'd love to see her. If she ever gives up on Harley Quinn, I would be happy to see Margot Robbie take a crack at Sue Storm. She's got 2 Oscar noms. She's also an incredibly physical actor, doing a lot of her own stunts in Birds of Prey. Not that that would make too much of a difference. We should mostly, be doing this motion, but she also seems to be willing to work in a big cinematic universe if the project is right. So, I think if Margot is available, take her. Or how about Matrix Resurrections, Priyanka Chopra Jonas? She's a megastar, on the rise, tons of big projects coming up. Or Dakota Johnson. Yes, I know. She was in those dumb 50 Shades movies. And they're not very good, I know. I watched the first one. Yeah, but hey, it's a job. Since then, Johnson's done Suspiria, Bad Times at El Royale, Peanut Butter Falcon, and a bunch of other things I haven't even heard of. She's talented, also very funny. Absolutely destroyed Ellen DeGeneres. I'm a fan. Plus, her real-life father, Don Johnson, wouldn't make a bad Franklin Storm. I got someone who looks just like Sue, Starlight, aka Erin Moriarty. Also on the younger side, but Moriarty does a great job on The Boys. And look at all that experience doing that wavy CGI hand motion thing. Might as well be watching Invisible Woman right now. Or, speaking of people who already look a lot like Sue Storm, Mission Impossible Fallout and Hobbs & Shaw's own Vanessa Kirby. She's terrific, talented, all of the things I've said about everyone so far. Or, perhaps her crown co-star, Claire Foy. Honestly, any of these would work for me. But I think Claire Foy is on the right spot career-wise, and by all accounts, she would make an excellent Sue Storm. So I'm gonna go with Claire Foy. That's my Sue Storm. But honestly, any of those people I mentioned would probably do a great job. Okay, this is a fun one. Johnny Storm is really the only character that I believe was cast well in both of the live-action Fantastic Four movies. We're looking for someone with a larger-than-life personality. He's got to be charming, confident, and playful. But also, Johnny is impulsive, irresponsible, and an all-around hothead. He's also a real bon vivant, like he dates around. He's got a lot to learn. But at his core, Johnny Storm is a good guy who wants to do the right thing. Also, Johnny's Sue's younger brother, so if she's in her 30s, I want a Johnny in his mid-20s. Honestly, the toughest part with Johnny is finding actors that can only be John. Like sure, Taron Egerton or Zac Efron would be solid Johnnies, but would Taron not be a better Wolverine or Cyclops? Would Efron not be a better Nova or Wonder Man? I don't know, but I think these 5 are best suited for Johnny Storm. First one, I know Timothée Chalamet doesn't really have any interest in superhero movies, but if he wants to, he'd be a great Johnny Storm. Kid's got a ton of range, he's real hot right now, and he'd bring a lot of attention to the movie. Good attention. I've also got to throw in Gavin Leatherwood. I just binged Sex Lives of College Girls. Horrible title, I know. But this guy would be an excellent Johnny. He's pretty much Johnny on the show. His character in the show is basically the irresponsible hot older brother, and his Johnny energy is off the charts. Also, gotta throw in Jesse Usher. You probably know him as A-Train from The Boys, or as young Shaft in that Shaft movie you forgot they made. But, it was okay. Media savvy, cool guy superhero, describes A-Train and Human Torch. Ideally, I'd love a Johnny who hasn't played a superhero before, especially since Chris Evans and Michael B. Jordan are both known for other superhero roles, so I don't want that to be like a pattern here. But if we want someone who's a big player in the genre, who knows what they're doing, Jesse Usher, still be a great pick. However, if we do want someone who is not necessarily known for superhero movies, but does have experience playing a fire-wielding super being, who is also an excellent ladies' man and the toast of Hollywood, can I recommend Dev Patel? He is perfect, charming, energetic, impetuous, and funny. Dev Patel is super funny.
I see you're writing stories about Charles I.
Why? What makes you say that?
There seems to be the occasional reference to him everywhere.
I'd love to see him in this role. It would make 2024, or whenever this movie comes out, the real hot dev summer that we were promised in 2020. But there is one I love even more for Johnny. One actor who is an up-and-coming, young, hot head stud with a heart of gold. He also happens to be strongly connected to one of the members of Already Picked. Talking about Manny Jacinto, aka Jian Yu, aka Jason Mendoza. That's right, Chidi's friend. And their dynamic is exactly what I want from Johnny and Reed. Obviously, he doesn't need to be quite the Jacksonville airhead, but Jacinto has enough range to embody Johnny's spirit. I just really like him here. And everywhere. We need more Manny Jacinto in our lives. Also, the drawings, they're getting better. They're only going to get better from here. Or maybe they'll get worse. I draw them as I record, so I don't even know what, the Thing one's going to look like. But, I'm having fun. I'm glad I'm enjoying this. Also, I know I'm going to forget this. If Herbie, the little robot guy, is in the Fantastic Four movie, he should just be voiced by Frank Welker, who's still going strong. If you guys don't remember, Herbie was the cartoon character that was created to fill the place of Johnny Storm in the Fantastic Four cartoon. There was an urban legend that it was because they didn't want to put the Human Torch in the show because kids were setting themselves on fire. Apparently, that is not true. The story is just they wanted to use Human Torch maybe for a movie or something, so they didn't want to tie him to this cartoon, so they added the silly little robot in his place. I actually really like what they were going to do with Herbie in Fantastic, where he was like a little robot who balanced on like a basketball. I thought that was super clever. So if they throw Herbie in here, just bring Frank Welker back. No reason to mess with perfection. Shirt change. And I changed the color of the lights because he's orange. The ever-loving blue-eyed thing from Yancey Street. Ben Grimm. This one's tricky. He's tragic, loyal, tough, and has a heart of gold. I cannot stress this enough. He needs to be a New Yorker. Not like Reed, where it's like, oh, he could be British. No, he doesn't have to necessarily be from Yancey Street or Delancey Street, like in real life, but Ben Grimm needs to be New York. He's also one of the highest profile Jewish characters, so I'd like to keep that present here on screen. Let's start with Josh Hartnett. He can play stoic, tough, New York. Boom, great pick. Next, American Gods, Ricky Whittle. I kind of watched that show, so I pretty much know who he is. Like his toughness, like his stoicism. He could probably do New York. Boom, another great pick. To be completely honest, numbers 4 and 5 are my favorites. I'm kind of rushing to them. But also Ben McKenzie, New York, tough. He'd be good. And okay, number 4, Jesse Plemons. I love Jesse Plemons. He is so right for this role. He's understated, able to go big. He's not afraid of big franchises like Jungle Cruise. I think he's lovable. He's another actor that people want to go to bat for. And if they see him here in this role, they will get excited.
Illusion!
However, Ben Grimm is one of the highest profile Jewish Marvel characters, especially since he was written as pretty much Jack Kirby, the artist who created the Fantastic Four. Kirby lived on Delancey Street in the Lower East Side of Manhattan, where Ben Grimm is from. He's moody. Even the name Benjamin Jacob Grimm is a reference to Kirby's first name, Jacob. And while Ben Grimm's religion was not a clear part of his characterization until 2002, it's kind of one of those open secrets, since Jack Kirby was Jewish and everyone knew Grimm was Kirby. It was likely hidden because of a fear of anti-Semitism back in the day, but if you look at Hanukkah cards from the 70s drawn by Kirby himself, there's Ben Grimm. And since 2002, it's become a huge part of Ben Grimm's identity, with maybe only fellow Marvel characters like Magneto and Kitty Pryde being more high-profile representatives of the religion in comics. Plus, the Thing is pretty much a literal golem. Even though some are visualized as mud creatures and the term isn't specific to any one material, most people are familiar with the golem as being a creature from Jewish folklore made out of rocks. There's even a Pokemon, and he's a rock type. So the idea of Jewish Ben Grimm turning into a superhero ripped from Jewish folklore is a pretty significant part of his identity. So I do kind of think that if we're doing the Thing in a big Marvel Fantastic Four movie, the actor playing Ben Grimm should maybe be Jewish. Like, I think that's interesting if the character is the superhero representative of the religion. And as far as I can tell, Jesse Plemons is not Jewish. However, another actor who I'm a big fan of and is in the right age range, has the rough edges I would look for in the Thing. You probably remember him from that time he did an accent badly, or more notably when he was young Han Solo, Alden Ehrenreich. I think he's got it. He's really the whole package. Honestly, my only gripe is that he's kind of too handsome. He would be a good Cyclops or Angel, and we'd get to see his face instead of it being buried under CGI or like a big plastic mask. But to me, Alden Ehrenreich feels like the right Ben Grimm. And that's the 4. We're done. Except Victor Von Doom, aka Dr. Doom. We are not just casting the villain for this movie. I don't even think he should be the primary antagonist. We are casting the villain for the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the next Thanos. This is going to be big. Victor Von Doom is a narcissistic genius who is dangerous, single-minded, sort of charming, and unnaturally confident. Doom knows that only he can bring peace to the world. He must rule. And he absolutely despises Reed Richards. They were schoolmates at Empire University, and Doom believes Reed is responsible for the accident that disgraced him and gave Doom his signature scar. Doom was perfect, and then came Reed Richards. He's ambitious, with a resume to back it up. He's taken on Galactus, Kang, Mephisto, even the Beyonder, and won. He was the king of reality for a while. Doom is everything. He's also the ruler of the fictional nation of Latveria, which is generally understood to be an Eastern European nation, kind of like Romania or Latvia. For that reason, this one is sort of ethnically specific. I want someone who looks like you'd expect an Eastern European dictator to look like, and I've got some wonderful options. Hey, who's that? Dan Stevens, but you're a Reed. Oh, he could also be a Doom, a damn good Doom, menacing, confident and big, larger than life. I can absolutely see it. Plus, he's got that Eurovision accent, which we can kind of mold into a Doom if we try hard. Accent's not that important though. Sometimes Doom speaks with an accent, sometimes it's just got that kind of vague English accent that everybody in Europe has, so I don't know. Hey, how about Luke Evans? Probably better suited for Hercules, but could certainly be a great Doom. He's dark, a believable bad guy, and sort of likable. I enjoy him in Fast 6 and Beauty and the Beast. He says, smooth as silk.
Everything runs smooth as silk again.
That's a very fun line. Here's where I'm going to suggest the only holdover from a previous movie. I think Toby Kebbell has what it takes to be a splendid Doom. Koba himself. He got a raw deal with what is easily the worst part of that movie, but he's a great actor with a ton of range, pathos. I'd love to see him get another chance. Plus, like, no one remembers he was in Fantastic anyway, so who's gonna care? Also, multiverse casting, we love that now. But up until recently, my number one pick was Nikolai Coster-Waldau, Jaime Lannister. He's everything I want from a Doom. He's handsome, he's clever, Croatian, arrogant, dangerous. Thing is, he's a little older than I'd like. At 50, he might not be believable as a contemporary of a 35 or 40-year-old Reed, but I think otherwise, he would be a terrific Doom. Same goes for Viggo Morgenstein. If he was 40, he'd be an excellent Doom. Unfortunately, he is not. However, I was watching a little movie the other day called Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar, and I saw Dr. Doom in the flesh, Jamie Dornan. In my eyes, he is the vision of Doom. And I don't care that he was in those stupid 50 Shades movies. That was 7 years ago, and look where it got him. Good for him. Get that cash. Since then, Dornan's done all kinds of great work. This year, he's in a film called Belfast, where he's getting a lot of awards. I haven't loved everything I've seen him in since, but I always liked Jamie. And my God, he just looks perfect. Like, that is Dr. Doom. He's not Eastern European, but he's Irish, and I'm sure he could pull off the necessary accent. I cannot impress enough how much I think we need this. We deserve this. Jamie Dornan is Dr. Doom. But real quick, I think Ben Grimm's partner, Alicia Masters, will show up in these eventually, and she's traditionally blind. And I don't want it to seem like I'm of the belief that every character needs to be played by someone exactly like them already. Obviously, we should give disabled actors more opportunities. However, I don't get upset when Bryan Cranston uses a wheelchair in a movie. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about that. However, I think it would be cool if we had an actual blind Alicia Masters. I don't know a ton of blind actors. There's one named Mary Lee Talkington who seems to be legally blind, so that could work. However, if there are other blind actors that I don't know about, I would definitely like to consider them first. But okay, while I would love to see Dr. Doom in this movie, and I think we'll get him, I don't think it makes sense for Doom to be the primary antagonist. Save it for later. Build up to him a bit first. So let's assume Dr. Doom is not the main villain. Who is? Well, how about the villain from the first Fantastic Four comic? A villain named Harvey Elder, aka the Mole Man. He's the Underminer, an abrasive little genius who falls into a hole in the earth, meets the Mole People, or Moloids as they're known in Marvel Comics, and leads them in a war against the surface world. He's a simple villain with a lot of personality and potential who general audiences are familiar with conceptually but have never seen in a movie before. He works, and don't even try to pretend that anyone knows that Tim Blake Nelson played this character in Fantastic, because people don't know that. Now, I said little because Mole Man is a short. And I don't want to seem like I'm bashing the shorts because I've never talked about this publicly, or maybe I have and I just forgot, but I am also a short. 5'6", a true short king. And I'm tired of our short heroes and villains being played by talls. You already have it all, Hugh Jackman. Wolverine is not supposed to be taller than Cyclops. He's 5'3" in the comics. So I'd love to see one of our short character actors take on the role of Mole Man. We joke about Danny DeVito, but hey, if he wants it, he should have it. It would be so much fun. Plus, Mole Man and the Penguin, kind of similar characters. But more realistically, how about Zach Galifianakis? He can play a wild, misunderstood weirdo, or Jack Black. Can you imagine Jack Black as Mole Man bursting out of the ground, riding Giganto, shooting energy blasts out of his vibra staff? It would be incredible. Or how about Johnny Galecki? He's from The Big Bang Theory, but don't hold that against him. So is Kaylee Kuko, and look at how good the Harley Quinn show is. He can easily embody a super scientist with the Napoleon complex. But if we are looking for short kings who live underground and hang out with weird, pale little monster guys, we need look no further than Elijah Wood. The dude was born to play Mole Man, and I mean that as an absolute compliment. A fun, one-and-done role. You can show up, chew some scenery, collect a nice big check, and then leave. He could show up in another movie maybe if he doesn't die, but he doesn't have to. It could be just one fun movie. Also, if Elijah doesn't want to do it, I will humbly volunteer myself to be the Mole Man. I'm short, I look great in green, and I look amazing in glasses. It's perfect. Listen, I'm sure Marvel has put an amazing amount of thought into this. I'm sure they have lawyers and writers in rooms constantly just trying to figure out the perfect team. And I'm just one person here, but yeah, I think these are your guys. There's some other casting that I'll talk about in this video's Nebula Plus segment, but the core here: William Jackson Harper, Claire Foy, Manny Jacinto, Alden Ehrenreich, Jamie Dornan, and Elijah Wood. That should be your Fantastic Four movie. And obviously Keanu Reeves as the Silver Surfer. I mean, that's a no-brainer. I had a lot of fun doing this. This is kind of like Nando V Movies 2.0, maybe. I'm changing up the format of the videos a little bit, trying to do more stuff on camera, longer videos, fewer of them per month, maybe 2 videos a month. Had a lot of fun with what I was doing last year, but I do want to change it up. I think it'll be fun. So that means there might be fewer videos on the channel, but they will be longer, which means I'll have to write them and produce them more. And if you guys like them, share them, like them on YouTube, do all that stuff, comment so they can get engagement, because these should be fun and these are, really important to me. And hey, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, wow, those are some breathtaking graphics. How did you learn to make those? Well, it's easy. I learned the After Effects fundamentals in Jordy Vanderput's class, Learn Adobe After Effects for Beginners, on this video's sponsor, Skillshare. You guys know Skillshare. It's an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for anyone who loves learning and wants to explore their creativity and learn new skills. Have a specific skill you're trying to learn? Well, Skillshare is the perfect place to start. You've got classes on photography, illustration, graphic design, video editing, writing, basically everything you need to make a video like this with your own fan cast. And now you guys know I took care of you. The first 1,000 people to use this link will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Use Skillshare, do whatever you want. Make the fan casting video you wanted to make with better fan casts. Like, I don't know, that guy from Lucifer, he's in there maybe. Maybe you like that guy. I don't know who he is. I've heard people say maybe he'd be a good Reed or maybe he'd be a good Doom. That's the thing, a lot of the Reeds and Dooms are kind of interchangeable, which is kind of the fun of those characters. Not all, but some. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, Skillshare. As always, I gotta give a huge thank you to everyone who continues to support the channel on Patreon. You guys are amazing. I am so thankful. Also, thank you to everyone who listens to the podcast, mostly nitpicking. It's a lot of fun. Last thing, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok. I'm Nando V Movies on all those platforms, mostly Twitter. If you want to pick one, that's all I got. Stay safe. I'll see you next time.